Every Christian parent has said it at least once. Be like Daniel. Be brave. Stand up for your faith. And I get it. Daniel is one of the greatest role models in the Bible. But here's what most people never tell their kids. Daniel wasn't brave in the lion's den because he decided to be brave that day. He was brave because of something he started doing years earlier. As a teenager. Something so simple, so quiet, so unsexy, that we almost never preach about it. And if we keep skipping it, we're setting our kids up to fail the very test we're preparing them for. Let's go back to the beginning of Daniel's story, because most people start too late. Daniel wasn't always a powerful government official. He started as a teenager, a young Jewish boy, probably around 14 or 15 years old, ripped from his home in Jerusalem. The Babylonian Empire had conquered Israel, and King Nebuchadnezzar had a very specific strategy. He didn't just want to defeat Israel militarily. He wanted to replace their identity. So he handpicked the brightest, most promising young men from Jerusalem, good-looking, intelligent, with potential for leadership, and brought them to Babylon. The plan was simple. 3 years of Babylonian education, Babylonian language, Babylonian culture, Babylonian food, Babylonian name. They even changed Daniel's name from Daniel, meaning God is my judge, to Belteshazzar, named after a Babylonian god. Everything was designed to make these young men forget who they were and who they belonged to. Sound familiar? Because that's exactly what culture is trying to do to your teenager right now. New language, new values, new identity. Slow, subtle, consistent. And here's what makes Daniel remarkable. He was 14 or 15 when he decided he wasn't going to let it work. The first test wasn't lions. It was lunch. The king offered Daniel and his friends the royal food, the finest food in Babylon. Most teenagers would have said yes immediately. Daniel said no. Not because the food was necessarily poison, but because eating it would have meant participating in a system designed to replace his identity. He made a quiet, personal decision. I will not defile myself. He didn't make a scene. He didn't post about it. He didn't start a protest. He just quietly, respectfully held his line. And God honored it. After 10 days on vegetables and water, Daniel and his friends looked healthier than everyone else. That first small decision, that quiet act of consistency, set the tone for everything that followed. Now fast forward. Daniel grew up. He became one of the most respected and powerful officials in the entire Babylonian Empire. Kings came and went. Empires rose and fell. Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, then Darius the Mede. And through all of it, Daniel kept rising. Not because he was the loudest, not because he had the best political connections, but because he had something nobody could take from him. Scripture tells us, in Daniel chapter 6 verse 10, one of the most quietly powerful lines in the entire Bible. Now when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows opened toward Jerusalem. 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before. Just as he had done before. That phrase right there is the whole sermon. Daniel's prayer life wasn't a crisis response. It wasn't something he started when things got hard. It was a habit, built over decades. Starting when he was a teenager in a foreign land. 3 times a day. Every day. Same direction. Same posture. Same God. When the lion's den came, and it came suddenly, and it came because of his enemies specifically targeting his prayer life, Daniel didn't have to decide whether to keep praying. It wasn't a decision anymore. It was who he was. Here's how the lion's den actually happened, and this part is important. King Darius had promoted Daniel above everyone else. He was so exceptional, so trustworthy, so filled with an extraordinary spirit, that the king planned to put him in charge of the entire kingdom. The other officials were jealous. They tried to find corruption in Daniel's work. They couldn't. They tried to find a scandal in his personal life. Nothing. So they went after the one thing they knew they couldn't take from him. His relationship with God. They convinced the king to sign a law that for 30 days, no one could pray to any god or human except the king. Anyone who violated it would be thrown into the lion's den. The king, flattered, signed it. And Daniel? He heard about it. And he went home, opened his window, the same window, facing Jerusalem, got on his knees, and prayed 3 times. That day, like every other day, he didn't hold a secret prayer meeting. He didn't hide in a back room. He opened the window, not to be dramatic, not to be defiant for the cameras, because that's just what Daniel did. He had been doing it so long that stopping, even to save his life, would have felt like a betrayal of something deeper than habit. It would have been a betrayal of identity. His enemies watched him. They reported him. The king had no choice but to enforce the law. Daniel was arrested and thrown into the den of lions. The king sealed the stone and spent the entire night fasting, unable to sleep. Because somehow, a pagan king who barely knew Daniel's God believed something was different about this man. At the first light of dawn, the king ran to the den. Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions? And from inside the den, a voice. My God sent his angel and shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. Daniel came out without a scratch, and Scripture notes, no wound was found on him, because he had trusted in his God. Now here's the part parents and teenagers both need to hear. We tell this story as a story about courage in crisis. And I ask that. But the courage in the crisis was built in the quiet. Long before the lions, there were windows open toward Jerusalem. Long before the accusation, there were knees on the floor. Long before the test, there was the habit. Daniel wasn't ready for the lion's den because he was naturally brave. He was ready because he had been showing up, quietly, consistently, invisibly, for years. The lion's den didn't build Daniel's faith. It just revealed it. Here is the one lesson from Daniel's life that we keep skipping. Consistency in the quiet builds the courage for the crisis. We want our kids to stand strong when the moment comes, but we're not helping them build the habit that makes standing possible. Daniel didn't pray 3 times a day because it was easy. He did it because it was a decision he made before it was hard. Before Babylon tried to rename him. Before jealous officials plotted against him. Before lions were on the other side of a stone door. He decided, as a teenager, that his relationship with God would be non-negotiable. And he showed up for it. Every single day. That's it. That's the thing we keep missing. Not just be brave like Daniel. Build the habit like Daniel. For teenagers, you are living in Babylon right now. Culture is loud. Social media is pulling at your identity every single day, trying to rename you, reshape you, redefine you. And one day, not maybe, one day, your faith will be put on the line. Someone will pressure you to compromise. You'll be in a moment where speaking up, or standing firm, or staying pure will cost you something real. And in that moment, you will not rise to the level of your good intentions. You will fall to the level of your habits. So start now. Not a perfect prayer life. Not a 2-hour devotional. Start small. 5 minutes in the morning. A prayer before lunch. A quiet moment at night. 3 times a day. Just like Daniel. Because the habit you build today is the courage you'll have tomorrow. For parents, stop just telling your kids the lion's den story. Tell them the whole story. Tell them about the teenager who decided to hold his line over lunch. Tell them about the open window. Tell them about the knees on the floor. Tell them that Daniel wasn't a superhero. He was a young person who made a quiet decision and kept showing up. And then, and this is the harder part, model it. Your kids are watching your habits more than they're hearing your words. If they never see you pray, if devotion is something they hear about but never witness, you are sending them into Babylon without a weapon. Build it together. Make prayer a rhythm in your home, not just a crisis response. Because the lion's den is coming for your child. You don't know when. You don't know what form it will take. But the habit they build now is the only thing that will carry them through it. For young Christians, maybe you've been waiting for a dramatic moment to get serious about your faith. A retreat, a revival, a rock-bottom experience. Daniel's story says something different. The dramatic moment is coming, but preparation happens in the ordinary. The window, the knees, the direction, the consistency. Start today, not perfectly, just faithfully, because just as he had done before, those 5 words are the most powerful part of Daniel's entire story. Make your faith something that happens before the pressure, before the test, before the lions. If this reframed the story of Daniel for you, drop a comment. And if you're a parent, share this with your teenager today. Not just the lion's den part, the whole story. Because we don't just want kids who survive the lions. We want kids who have been on their knees long enough that the lions don't get to define them. Follow for more Bible stories told the way they were meant to be told. Deep, real, relevant. God bless.